But there are benefits of density, and one is there are a number of studies coming out now, this is just one of them, is that if you increase the density of college-educated people in one spot, productivity goes up. And the density and the interaction between if you will, the creative class, engineers and healthcare professionals and people that are, artists and lawyers and judges and people that are doing things, that have to do with interacting and learning from one another, you can have higher productivity. And again, this drives again markets that create attractive communities for people. So anyway, those are some of the economic underpinnings. And now I want to spend a minute and talk a little bit about a project which some of you may have heard about to have you understand why we're thinking about this kind of development in downtown. So we'll spend a minute and talk about the Block 9 mixed use. And this is a shot, if you orient yourself a little bit in terms of this is Broadway, is the yellow street up and down. And the pink is, represents again that we've got retail almost all filled in on Broadway. You get a block or two off of Broadway, not the case, but Broadway is really getting filled in as sort of a true, Main Street retail element. What's been in the paper a lot is an opportunity to really strengthen the downtown the other direction, intersecting Broadway, going all the way from NDSU on the west down to the river, or surrounding a new civic quad on the east along the river. And those two things together would create, again, an axis of strong retail and civic corridors that could be very powerful. And communities that have been able to pull this off would see from that strength of those two things coming together is that all the other pieces start to fill in over time. And again, we've got, we'd have two great pedestrian streets. When we take a look at the blue in the upper right portion of that corner, we've got envisioned there, a repurposed civic center. We've got envisioned a performance hall, which could be a collaboration between NDSU, MSUM, and Concordia, and the arts groups, the symphony, the opera, and others around here, all coming together for us. So think of that, for those of you who've been to Grand Forks, think of that as our own Chester Fritz type facility, and it would be something that we're in the Fargo Theater, this holds about 850 people, so this would be larger, more like the Chester Fritz, a couple thousand or more. A new city hall, a plaza, green space, and then some flat convention space that would complement what we have downtown, and could complement activities that are going on at the Fargo Dome. So, big opportunity there, and again, for those of you that get a chance to, as citizens, we all can express our points of view. And and for those that were here, we all got a chance to vote. So the interesting thing about the civic stuff, this is a unique point in time because we're not talking, no one has to go out and pass any bond issues or pass any sales tax because the money exists today for the new city hall. The money exists for the flood wall protection. City Hall is $12 million, give or take. The flood wall protection estimates are anywhere between 20 and 40 million for the 2nd Street flood protection and how that might be put together. And then we're so blessed, again, most city arenas are broke. We have a city arena that is profitable. Again, it helps when you have a city arena to have sold out playoff football games each fall, 3 of them, so we're counting on that again. So we have but that helps, but we've got a well-run, terrific civic arena called the Fargo Dome, and then because that was funded by sales tax and we had a strong economy, there's $37 million sitting in that budget. Some of that needs to be retained for maintenance. Some of it could go towards some stadium upgrades, but there's dollars available that could be applied towards flat convention space, and we get to decide, is that flat convention space going to be at the Dome or is it going to be downtown? People know the Kilbourne Group view on that because we think it's well supported in terms of putting that kind of convention space, attracting people to a unique place where you've got lots of bars and restaurants is the winning ticket for when other cities have done that. But this is a unique thing because those 3 pots of money already exist and the votes have already been taken. So again, citizens, everybody has their opportunity to speak up, and I would encourage everybody to be participative and understand these issues because there's a chance to do it, and I think the leadership we have is, at least right now, pointing in the right direction. We have a chance to set the course for the next 100 years with those 3 city projects and really take the downtown to the next level. The next thing I want to talk about is this walkability piece. And again, I think we're so immersed in the car culture post-World War II, there's very few people that are that are here today that would have been before that. I know Rita Trainer's here, so I know we've got some people that are old enough to remember pre-World War II culture. But before that, cities were built around the individual, and then in the last couple of generations, we've been scaled to the automobile. So some of us that grew up in that automobile generation don't think there's any other way to do it. But I want to be thinking about how that might change. And what that's meant. There's a new website called WalkScore. I'd encourage everybody, you can download it on your smartphone. They've got 5 categories. The bottom 2 categories are car dependent. Then you move up to somewhat walkable, very walkable, and walker's paradise. And their score is around a set of daily errands. Can you shop? Can you make it to a park? Can you walk your dog? Can you get the daily things that you need without requiring a car? And then you type in an address for anywhere in the U.S. and it comes up with a walk score for that. And so we went online. So these walk scores are current as of yesterday, and we picked some locations around town. Let me take the first one where my daughter Jessie goes to high school. That would be Davies, and they got a walk score of 0. This is, you might say, I'm not trying to fudge any numbers. This is an old picture off of Google Maps. So the football field has been completed, the street's been completed, there's some houses on the north side, but the walk score is not, can you walk from a house to school? The walk score is, can you, reach retail, can you do this, can you do whatever? And you get less points each time it's more than a quarter mile away. You get a lot of points if it's less than a quarter mile, less points if it's less than a half mile. If it's more than a mile away to get to some place, you get a 0. And so this is what Davies got. This is where I lived when I moved back to Fargo. The walk score has improved since I moved back. Because in 1983, when I came back, I lived in this apartment building for 8 years while we were building, Great Plains. And here's a neighborhood, and that was in the 80s, and now it's 20 years later, the walk score is still 32, which puts you into if you want to live in this area, you are car dependent to get anything done, and maybe we've just accepted that. And that you end up with you can end up, again, in this car culture, we end up with neighborhoods that might that would look like this. And again, I think just visually when you look at this and you see all the concrete airport, the aprons from the driveways, and you see all the streets in this picture, and if you look up really closely on a high definition screen, you will find one thing, which is you cannot find a pedestrian in this photo. And not to be cheating, because this could be any town, America, USA. This was taken, by an airplane over the southwest portion of our metro area in the last week of July on a beautiful day this summer with no kids in school. And I know this is a product that people want, but I kind of can't help but think when we're dealing with 1/8 of the healthcare costs in America are related to obesity, childhood obesity, and everybody's trying to go. We have parents up in arms because some pop company's got a pop machine in school and they're selling pop in school, but they live in a neighborhood. They choose to live in a neighborhood where they're entirely car dependent, and then they drive their kids to school every day. Because that's what we've done as a country. We're not picking on Fargo. This is what we've done as a country. But we have a choice to think about where do we go from here, and do we bring walkability back as one of the main elements that can drive all kinds of benefits, from not only in the economy, lower costs for owning a car, lower demands on parking, but massively improved elements in terms of health. NDSU is again better. This is it falls into that somewhat walkable piece. And of course, around the campus, you can walk very well, but it's a big campus. And if you want to get to services, you have to kind of walk off campuses in many cases to get to those. And so that, again, keeps the score lower. And then the score for the Loretta building, the downtown, when we plugged this in yesterday, came up as an 89. And of course, there are some things that would raise the score even further. Grocery store downtown beyond what's sold at Swanson's Health Food and others. But there's a way to get this score up, cross that 90 mark, and get yourself into walker's paradise as opposed to the relatively good score now. And one way to do that is with urban infill, which is to take existing empty places and try to fill them in. So we'll spend a little bit on Block 9, which again you've heard about. This is the Block 9 is the name of the block that includes the existing U.S. Bank. It includes the U.S. Bank Plaza. It includes the U.S. Bank employee parking, which is on the northwest portion of that block, or kitty corner to us. And then the northeast portion of that block is where the city once had a city parking ramp and would desire to build one again. So as part of this project, we would envision an enhanced plaza. We looked from a design standpoint of where would you put the plaza. We didn't just put it there because it existed there. We put it there because it turns out the south-facing part of this spot is the best place for it, adjacent to 2nd Avenue in terms of pedestrian piece. So then we said, hey, we would want to maintain the streets. We'd even want to maintain an alley component behind there. We know there's a demand for retail. There's people right now saying, hey, I would come downtown if I could find the right spot. We know there's a demand for parking. There's the ramp coming up. That little blue line that came in is the Skyway system. We've got a great existing Skyway system, but it's like a network that needs more nodes if we got any IT people in the audience. And so the value of a network goes up when you have more nodes on it. And so getting more things connected to the existing Skyway system would dramatically increase its value for everybody that's already connected. This would put a lot of connections, another parking ramp connected, more retail connected. We would envision as part of this public access that the lobby of a hotel that would be built would include escalators, which would get you up to that Skyway system and keep that connected. We know people love amenities and love having outdoor spaces, so we would envision that there would be rooftop opportunities for spaces here. Again, I had an office that faced the alley for a long time, and last 3 or 4 years, and outside the window frequently in the spring, summer, and fall, limo pulls up, entire wedding party jumps out, everybody gets their picture taken in the alley, they jump back in, and then they drive back to the edge for a wedding reception. Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if we had spaces down here where they could actually, stay down here for the wedding reception and do that? So I think we want to think about how do we make that work. We've got an opportunity for the commercial space. We're actively looking and trying to recruit tenants that would come into the commercial space. This is a key element to keep in terms of next step forward for us in the building. We know there's demand for residential on top of this tower. This is envisioned as condominiums. And the floor plates are not that big. This is only about 12,000 square feet per floor plate. So there would be about 4 to 6 condominiums in the 2,000 to 3,000 square foot range on each of these floors. And then we would top all that off with something we envision as a Dakota Club, which would be a food and beverage option for tenants in the building or used by the hotel. So we envision all of that as, again, it's mixed use. It includes parking. You're getting multiple uses layered on top of each other. So you achieve infill, you achieve multiple use, and that multiple use can also enhance the need for parking, because business people, the commercial people would be coming and using the parking during the day. The hotel people use it at night, and you get higher utilization on your parking ramp with those mixed uses. Here's a nice example. It's not what we're trying to build, but this is an example of the in Lincoln, Nebraska building I just saw again last weekend. It's got retail on the first floor. There's a Chipotle grill and other retailers. Mutual of Omaha has got a retail banking on the first floor. Those middle pieces in there in this building, that's 6 floors of parking, 650 spots disguised as a high-rise building, and on top of it, 3 levels of apartments with balconies and porches or whatever. And all of those residential units apparently sold out within the first month, sold out in terms of they were rented. Because again, and then again, we've got mixed use in terms of different people, business people parking here during the day, residential parking here at night. Again, I think the mixed use is key because it lowers the cost. This is a picture that I took. I know you're not supposed to text while driving. I actually took this picture while driving. I didn't think there was a lot of risk of running into anything. I was leaving work back in August. I thought I'll drive through the ramp. This is a fantastic ramp for Bank of the West and Wells Fargo for daytime use, because they use this thing Monday through Friday, and it even gets on the first floor a little bit of use from people that are parked there after hours in the YMCA. But the lack of residential near this and the lack of any food establishments near this, then we miss out the opportunity for the mixed use that would get use in the city ramp at other times other than 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And again, with high utilization, parking becomes more affordable for everybody. So we throw that out there again as a thing about let's rethinking about surface parking as an opportunity. There's 72 acres of surface parking within a half mile of the site that we're at right now, or the Block 9 site. And each one of those ought to be thought of as what would be the mixed use alternative to be on this thing. And all that pink also used to have buildings. These don't all have to be parking, because if we had other elements where we could do mixed use, the parking area could be brought back into buildings, because Xcel Energy, the executives told me they sold more power in downtown Fargo in 1965 than they do today. And part of the reason why is that so many of their places they used to sell power to aren't there. A surface parking lot, you knock down a building and put in a surface parking lot, it doesn't consume much power. So Loretta, as we are racing towards the end here, this is built in 1909 and 1912 in two different pieces. It was a historic revitalization that's taken place over the last couple of years. The gentleman that had the vision to do this was named Peter Elliott, an early Fargo business person. And I like to think about what optimism he had for the future of Fargo to build this building that he did. Because again, there's no historic revitalization possible unless somebody 100 years ago put a budget out to actually build something quite substantial and quite grand for its time. And when they did that, we don't have any way of knowing whether it was budget or construction or timing or tenants or whatever, but this building was built in two phases. The first phase involved the two sections that are more to the south, and we think of the building as thirds, but this is an unusual early photo that only shows 2/3 of the building. But right from the get-go, even from that time, one of the early tenants was Burgum and Crow Furniture. They occupied the building from the 1910 all the way through 69. And we had an opportunity to interview Bob Crow, who's a local artist who remembers working in there with his grandfather when he was a child, so some fun first-hand stories of the building. But then the NDSU Archives had a great picture showing when the north third of it, or the right-hand side of your screen, was completed. And that was, again, shows the full completion of the building. One of the things that I think when people do revitalizations, they don't understand how green it is, not just to reuse materials, but how green it is to not fill your landfills with demolition. And the best estimates we have, if you knock down this particular building with this size, that we would have created 3,200 tons of waste, of construction waste, that would have ended up in a construction landfill. And again, that's a civic burden that we all bear, because we all pay for landfill and we all pay for the support of those landfills. We privately had to pay to have it hauled away, but again, that's a lot of waste that was not put there and was able to be a reuse. From a pre-construction standpoint, Loretta, Mike talked about Loretta having some work done. Loretta needed a lot of work done. These are some shots that show a stairwell that was unusable and was boarded off. In that upper left-hand side of that screen, there's you can see a newel post at the bottom of that stairway. We were able to save those newel posts from the story. Those are reused in the front part. Lots of other stuff that we weren't able to save in there, because there was some challenging water damage and other elements. This is some shots from the third floor, and people may not remember the exterior, even from a couple years ago. But this, again, the upper right-hand piece shows the exterior, and we had 1/3 of the building relative clean, the other 2/3, which they had different owners for the 1/3, 2/3, but there was some historic element of black paint or something across the top, and then the backside looking pretty tough. And again, there was a lot of work done that shows some of the removing of that paint during the tuck pointing process. And there'll be lots of post and pre photos when you go on the tour today. There's some fun signboards around, so you can really get yourself educated about the depth of work that occurred there. But one of the things which I think is important to understand is the impact of all that work had. It's not just in the construction itself and the benefits of the money flowing in the economy, but we take a spot that had six employees before, has 100 employees, over 100 employees when it'll be finished. There's 97 now, but we've still got a few spaces to finish. 9,000 square feet that was being utilized on the first floor. Now there's over 48,000, including some new space that was built on the fourth floor and on the back on the top of the annex. The building moved from 3 floors to 4 floors. We go from 2 retail businesses to 17 businesses. And the most impressive part about this slide isn't on the slide. The most impressive part is the city of Fargo had to build exactly 0 additional feet of sidewalk, 0 additional feet of sewer, 0 additional feet of water, and hire 0 additional fire and police to provide the infrastructure to support this building. So this is what we call the powerful economics of density, or the powerful economics of infill, which is it's so super economic for NDSU, for example, to come down and redo a building downtown, versus go to the edge. We all win. Everybody in the whole metro area wins because we're doing the thing that as a system is the most economic piece. And so that's a powerful benefit. And Mike thanked the contractors at the beginning, and we won't go through this like a sales brochure, but it's when you're walking through this afternoon, please understand that this building was taken back down to its existing shell. So that meant, this building's got all new electrical, state-of-the-art, all new plumbing, all new, state-of-the-art Mitsubishi HVAC equipment in it. So all of that is new. Sprinkler system throughout, fire-rated stairwells, and lots of, stuff that structurally, 220 pylons placed underneath the building to enhance stability, new structural support on the top floor where there was water damage that had come through the roof, a new 5-floor elevator that services from the basement to the new 4th floor, and on and on and on that. And then from the inside standpoint, letting the light back in, replacing all the windows. The windows that you see on the 3rd floor and the 3rd floor didn't exist. Those were put into walls. There was more openings put between the 1/3 and the 2/3 spot, where some floors, like the 3rd, there was only one opening. So lots of cut through existing brick walls, and hardwood flooring, reclaimed flooring, flooring from the Halleck Gym, flooring from Texas. Lots of amazing stuff that was gone on, and the end result is pretty spectacular. And I hope you'll all take the time to go over there. In addition to the door prizes that Mike's going to give here, we are offering gift bags for everybody that goes in the tour, but you got to make your way all the way to the 4th floor to do that. If you don't like climbing stairs, take the elevator to the 4th floor and work your way back down. Either way, but I just want to say, as I at the beginning, I wanted to say, congratulations to all of you. Thank you all for being here. But I also wanted to leave you with a challenge, because each of us has the opportunity as a thoughtful citizen to think about what kind of community we want to live in the future. We can think about how we spend our time, where we contribute our dollars, where we contribute our time, what startups and ideas we continue to support, whether you want to get behind a bike share, or you want to get behind some other element, or you want to start a new retail store, or you want to support growth in this way. Not everybody can play a part in having us have a great community with a differentiated core. And when we have a differentiated core, we're going to attract and retain all the best and top talented people. We don't want the best people from North Dakota. We don't want the best people from northwestern Minnesota. We want the best and most talented people in the world to want to live here, because we really have a place that is worthy and deserving of that. Believe me, I've been all over the world, and this place is a fantastic place. We should hold our heads high. We should think about how great of a community we can build, and we should build one that our people are going to want to flock to. We should think about what do we have to do to fill those 6,000 jobs so that the companies that are already here can continue to grow, as opposed to moving those jobs elsewhere, which some of them are thinking about doing. So we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can. Everybody can play a part. I want you to think about what your part can be as part of that. And I want to, again, thank you for being here. I want to congratulate you for being part of the community that cares and making a difference. And I want you to make sure that you have an absolute fabulous time at the celebration this afternoon. So congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to everybody that rebuilt and created the phoenix, literally rising from the ashes, because there was a fire in this building, as you'll see. And so as Loretta rises as a phoenix here in a proud spot on the most important street in our region, we say thank you to all of you. Congratulations to you. Don't forget that challenge. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate it.